Welcome to Erev Shabbos of Parshas Matis Masai, the last two Torah portions of the fourth book of the Torah, the book of Bamidbar. I'm actually not in Florida, sending you warm regards from upstate New York, where it's a little cooler than Boca Raton. This week's Torah portion contains a whole section that deals with vows, promises that we make, and the extent of the seriousness by which we have to ensure to keep them and not to transgress what we promised to do. See, the tongue is a powerful thing, and our mouth really can ultimately make a difference between life and death itself. This is taken actually from the book of Tehillim. King David says that Mavet v'chayim, death and life, is biyad lashon, in the hand of the tongue. A famous story in the Medrash that describes how this is even possible tells a story of a Persian king who fell ill. The doctors tell him that the only thing that can save you is milk from a lioness. And so someone offers to accomplish this most difficult task. But he says, first you have to give me 10 goats. And he goes to a den of a lioness. And day number one, he offers it one of the goats. And each day, as he offers one more goat, he comes a little closer to the lioness. And after 10 days, becomes somewhat acquainted, friendly enough, where he can actually approach the lioness to milk and extract some of its milk. So he brings it back to the king, but on the way he falls asleep and has a dream. And in the dream, all the limbs of his body are arguing who really is superior, who really was able to accomplish this task, which ultimately might save the king and bring great reward. Well, the feet says, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have gotten here. And the hand says, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have milked the lioness. But the heart says, if it wasn't for me, we would never have had this idea to offer ourselves. And of course, the eyes say, if it wasn't for me, we'd never be able to get this job done. Finally, the tongue itself speaks up and says, if I didn't verbalize the willingness of wanting to go, then none of this would have happened. And they all laugh at the tongue. You're living in some dark place. You're one of the few organs that has no limb even. And you think you're superior to all of us? And the tongue threatens and says, one day you will see that I'm truly the master. Wakes up from the dream, continues, and approaches the king with the milk. The king says, no, what do you have? He says, I have milk of a dog. When the king hears this, he orders his guards to take him away and to have him hung, because he thinks he's making fun of him. Anyways, in prison, his entire body is trembling. And again, he has somewhat of a dream where all the organs are telling the tongue, it truly is true that you are the master of all of us. You can bring death in a moment where we all come to our end. So finally he wakes up and he tells the guards, the hangman, please take me to the king again. He brings before the king, and he asks the king, why are you having me hung? He says, you told me that you're bringing me milk from a dog. And he tells the king, listen, in the place where I acquired the lioness's milk, a lioness is referred to in the same Aramaic word as you would translate to mean dog. Please go ahead and taste it. He tastes it and he becomes cured. And the tongue that brought about almost certain death was able to salvage the situation and bring life once again back to the entire body and all its limbs. Our sages tell us the tongue has the ability to kill 3 people. The person speaking the slander, the person hearing it, and the person that was slandered. We have to be careful, especially as we are in the 9 days. And the 9 days is all about love. And love starts not only by seeing the good in someone, but talking about the good of others and saving our beautiful mouth and the words that we have for positivity, for love, and nothing of the contrary. May our temple be quickly rebuilt so that we will have no more fast days. In fact, they will be reverted into days of festivity. Have a great Shabbos.